Well, hi, everybody.
Hi.
All right, so I want to raise a raise of hands. How many of you would like to have more resources to help you create willpower to lose weight, or to have more clarity to understand what you need to do, or just the motivation to do it? Raise your hand.
Yay, me.
Yeah, look at all these hands. And how many of you know what you should be doing, but somehow it just doesn't happen? Right? Me too. Me too. And then how many of you watch someone else do something and they make it really easy, but it's really hard for you? Right? Well, congratulations, you're in the right place. So I'm going to ask that you just give us your full attention. I'm going to also ask that you mute yourself. We're going to be having some conversations with one of the participants in class, with Sue, in just a few minutes. And so we want everything else to be nice and quiet in the background, and that'll make the recording so much more comfortable to listen to. So tonight you're going to learn so much about how to use your strengths to support your weight and health goals. And I'm going to have more opportunities for you to keep learning with me and with Sue, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later. So I thought I would start by just telling you the significance of strengths for me personally. So those of you that have taken your Strengths Finders test, you know that Clifton Strengths will send you your top 5. And my top 1 of my 5 is achiever. And I always feel like I have to apologize for that. Doesn't mean that I've really achieved anything. It just means that I work really hard. And I have a lot of drive and a lot of energy. And I just enjoy working. And I would go to bed every night, and I still do this, and I think about all the things I didn't get done. And I might have had a list of things that I accomplished, but there's always a few things that I can think of that I didn't get to. And one of the ones that was always rising to the top of that I did not get done was exercise. And so those of you that have known me for a long time, you know that I was a fitness instructor since 1987. I mean, I know people that weren't even born in 1987. So I certainly know how to exercise. I just wasn't making time for it in my schedule. And when I talked with Sue, we talked about that achiever strength, and she reminded me that one of the things that achievers love to do is they love to check things off their list. And so all I had to do was create a checklist of exercises, and that would enable me to get excited about actually doing my exercise. And I do have my checklist here. Here it is. And so I've divided my checklist up into 4 segments. And so it allows me to do all 4 in one day, or I just do this segment today and this segment tomorrow. But that enables me to go to bed at night and say, you know what? I got my exercises done today. And for those of you that are curious, I love the MELT method and Mat Pilates protocol. So that's what I do. And before that, I was really critical of myself. I kept getting angry with myself and frustrated and feeling like I was a loser and I was going to get fat, and I could feel my waistline getting bigger. And I was really just full of just anger about that. So Sue really helped me figure out that I could just use my strengths, that achiever strength, to come up with a strategy that spoke to me, that was my own sort of quirky reward system, and it really worked for me. So I was excited to have her come on, and I want to introduce her to you. She's just such a wonderful person that I've gotten to know over the last, since January, we've been getting to know each other. We're in the same business group. We've hired the same business coach. So I love that Sue celebrates the fact that we're all wired a little bit differently. And that means that your success comes from an internal process of making decisions, creating habits, and staying motivated. And sometimes your strengths can actually set up some roadblocks for you, and it's really hard to navigate around those. And so I guess I would just think that maybe you're going to take a wellness program, going to participate in a weight loss program, and it's not set up to acknowledge your quirky little reward systems. And so that's what we're all about here tonight. So I'm going to let Sue take it away.
Hey, thanks, Wendy. I need to know, do you physically check off your list every single day, or do you just look at it and say, yep, yep, yep?
Well, I was for a while. I had it in my calendar, my planner, and I would say, I'm going to do this segment 1, segment 2, segment 3. And now I'm kind of evolved from that, and I'm kind of breaking away from my checklist, and I'm adding exercises that I haven't done in a while. But it's still really fun for me to remember when I wrote that checklist, I was actually giddy as I was typing it up. Like I couldn't wait to get started with my school list.
Yeah, that's achiever. Raise your hand if anybody else has. Does anybody else have achiever in their top 5 in your list? Carrie does. So the hallmark of the achiever is that they like to check things off, and usually they like to physically go, da, I did it, and to be able to say, yes, I finished that off. So you can. That's even a trick you can do, is to break it down to, I did push-ups, check. I did some, I did a plank, check, right? And make it even as many checks as possible. So part of what we're talking about is what's motivating to different people. So I first just want to start by introducing myself for those of you who I haven't met, and tell you a little bit about what I do in general. I am a Clifton Strengths coach, a certified Clifton Strengths coach, and that Clifton Strengths assessment is put out by Gallup, and so that's who does the certification process for Clifton Strengths coaches. And I built a business around this tool because I can see it as such an incredible entry point to address just about any issue. If you understand yourself well, then you can celebrate who you naturally are and then the talents that you possess. And what I spend most of my time on is working with groups in the workplace. Because Clifton Strengths is an awesome way for a team to understand each of the individuals that belong to that team, and then what they're each bringing to the table. And then I take it beyond work as well to other parts of your life, marriage, another team where you can think about what strengths you're bringing to the table, what strengths someone else, your partner's bringing to the table, the whole yin and yang thing. We tend to be attracted to people who are the opposite of us. And that is fabulous because they fill in those gaps, but then it also drives us nuts. And so I work with people on midlife kind of things of like, why is my husband suddenly driving me crazy? Or I want to change careers, or that sort of thing. Communication, any kind of groups, that's who I love to work with. So what Wendy and I started conspiring about was, and also an entry point into Clifton Strengths, also a great entry point into taking care of yourself too. I think what I've noticed when I've worked with people on these personalities and seeing so many different assessments and going through so many, one-on-one sessions with people, is that we all love to beat ourselves up about what we're not. Wendy was alluding to this, but we tend to look around at what's wrong with us and how come I can't be like that person and so on. But if you think about it, is everything all ever in the same person? No. If you're like, I wish I had hair like her, and I wish I had skin like her, and I wish I had, money making skills like she has, or something like that. It's never all in the same package. I have yet to meet someone, Clifton Strengths really is a list of 34 strengths. I've never met anyone who has somehow jammed 34 into that little 5 spot. Yeah. So we are all constantly looking at the bottom and thinking, how can I fix that stuff? Well, that stuff is what is going to become mediocre maybe if you work really hard at it. So what we're wanting to do is recognize who you naturally are, what your natural talents are, and how can we apply that to your health. So I think we'll start. I've met some of you and not others, and I just would love to hear from each person. Both Wendy and I would love to hear from each person, your life in 2 minutes or less. How long are we going to give people, Wendy?
Okay. I'm going to set a timer for 8 minutes for the following 6 people: Luann, Teresa, Kathy, Joey, Julie, and then Barbara. And we'll go in that order. And so maybe Sue, can you give us maybe an example of what you're looking for from them? And then we'll go on and start with Luann. How's that sound?
Oh, okay. But first I thought we were gonna, let's hear from each person why they're
Okay.
here, and we'll do the
Sure.
strength.
Sure.
So let's each do a little bit of, hello, I'm Susan Jacobazi. I started on my own health journey, I think, essentially when I had 3 kids, grade school age, and I was exhausted and couldn't get out of bed every day, and I was in pain, and Western medicine was not helping me. And so I figured out that I could fix myself with my own diet and the proper exercise regimen and so on. So that is what got me interested in health in the first place, and why I decided I had to take this bull by the horns and make these decisions on my own. I have 3 adult children. Well, the youngest is 16 teenage up to early 20s, and married, and I live in Tahoe. There you go. How about that? Is that going to work?
Yeah, that's going to work. How about Deanna? Why don't you go next? And do you know how to
Hey, everybody. So I'm Deanna Hearn, and I have been in Reno since 1973, but I am a Nevada native. I guess I've always sort of thought about my health and fussed with it, and fussed if I didn't lose enough weight or I didn't exercise enough. I've spent all kinds of time, struggling with all of that. And then I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so in the process, I was very sick, but recovered and I'm doing well and lost 72 pounds. So it was a rough weight loss program, but it did the trick, which absolutely encouraged me, quite frankly. And so I exercise, quite a bit now. Now it's mainly walking, but before COVID, it was in the gym and in the pool, and I've learned how to eat differently, mainly because my digestive system demands it. But I still, sometimes will come up against a point where I'm struggling. I'm like, I want to lose another 5 pounds or 10 pounds, and I can't seem to do it. I don't know why I can't. It's not that much, sort of the whole thing. So I just want to continue to hone my skills and get, continue to find and learn new strategies on how to take good care of myself.
Great.
I'm married. Haven't been married that long. Well, it's now 11 years, so I guess that's a while. And no children, but 4 pets, 2 dogs and 2 cats.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Deanna.
How about Kathy Thorne?
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
So, oh my gosh, where do I start? Health-wise and exercise. I haven't done much exercise lately. I don't know if I'm self-sabotaging myself. I don't know if I'm making an excuse for, because of where I live, it's not easy. There's lots of different reasons I could probably make excuses and come up with, but none of them are good. It's just, I've been ignoring it, and it's time to not ignore it anymore. And I think it's fascinating, the concept of using our strengths to help us out with that. Background, probably nobody knows this. I was a competitive skier and a competitive volleyball player when I was younger.
Wow.
So I have had my health, and I was quite into fitness and exercise for many, many years of my life. And when I turned 50, it kind of just all decided to fight against me. So anyway, I'm on a roller coaster and I need some help to get off. My family-wise, I have 4 beautiful children and 9 grandchildren. I probably not stopped there yet, but currently have 9 grandchildren, and married and happily married.
Thanks. And how about Luann?
So my name's Luann, and I've lived in Reno since 1981, having moved from Denver. And I think I have you beat Wendy. I've been teaching fitness since I figured out it had to be 1977, but I'm also older than you. So I've never had a problem with my weight until somewhere around 40. And I just noticed I put on 5 pounds a year, maybe 3, and it just inched up and inched up, even though I still taught fitness classes. And finally at age 70, after carrying around some extra weight for a while, I just said, you know, I'm done. I just made a decision. And, you know, after deciding, then I just took off 20 pounds. I'm just taking off 1 pound a month, and I just keep going. And if it doesn't work that month, I just carry it over to the next month. But I'm feeling much better. And it's just been an interesting journey to notice that it takes an intense amount of internal fortitude for me to just do the personal inside work first before it shows up on the outside. Because I struggled outwardly for so long and discovered it really didn't work that way. It's really not about exercise, and it's really not about eating. It's really not about all the things we've been told. And it is about that, but it's more.
You're right.
So, and I'm married. I've been married to the same guy. It'll be 55 years very soon.
Yeah, but do you still like
and I still like him. We get along. It's really, if you're going to be in quarantine or stuck at home with someone, you might as well like them.
Right.
So it's working out fine.
Okay.
Anyway, that's me.
Thank you, Luann. And how about you, Joey?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I got you all beat. I'm a Nevada native, actually, but actually, I think, Luann, you said that you were as well. No, somebody said they were a Nevada native.
Yeah.
Oh, Deanna. Anyway, I've been yo-yo up and down, up and down, up and down my whole life, and it's not gotten any better. So I just need to. It's time. I'm done with it. I just want to be able to get it off and keep it off, instead of get it off and then creep back up and then try to get it off again and then creep back up. So that's what I'm looking for now. I just recently changed businesses, and so I don't have a lot of extra time, but that's just another excuse. So I can't use that
Okay.
anymore.
Are you still doing Weight Watchers, Joey?
I am doing Weight Watchers. And I found that that's just a nice structure for me. Problem is that then, you know, at the end of the day, we open up a couple of bottles of wine at the office and all bets are off.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, oops, oh, there it goes again. So I have no willpower. It's like, hey, yeah, pour in another one. Yeah, it's been a rough day. So anyway, that's been my whole struggle. I'm with the same guy that I've been with for almost 40 years, and we just adopted 2 little kittens that are running around here somewhere. I can't believe they're being quiet right now, but no kids. But anyway, so that's me.
Okay. All right. It looks like Julie, you're up next. At least you are on my screen anyway. Hi, Jules. You want to? There you go. Did you unmute yourself? There you go.
There. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Well, I'm Julie, and I've been in Reno about 45 years, and my house is all packed up, and I'm leaving in 13 days.
No.
I sold my house. I bought a house. I quarantined for COVID. I lost 35 pounds, and I'm out of here. You know, I'm looking forward to a new chapter, a place that doesn't have smoke, that's lower altitude, and hopefully I can get a lot more exercise in. You know, the smoke has just been so hard to move for me. You know, it's the smoke makes me tired, makes my face itch, scratch, allergies, and you know, I'm able to change all that. So I'm really excited about that. I too struggle. I struggle with exercise. I struggle with consistent exercise. And, you know, I have my strengths right here, and I look at my strengths, And my number one is responsibility. And then it's consistency and then discipline. Now, those are 3 of my top 5. So why can't I work out on a regular basis?
There you go.
I mean, you know, this is what I want Susan to tell me. Where's my block? Because
magic ball. Okay.
with those 3, I should be doing it, you know, but I'm not. So anyway, let's see what Susan has to say.
Well, I can't wait to talk to you more about that, Julie.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And we're going to miss you terribly, by the way. Let's see. It looks like it's Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
Hi,
There you are.
I'm Teresa. I was born here in Reno. So I've been here 3 years, 53. I have also done that yo-yo, up and down, up and down, up and down, dieting, and I've recently started integrative nutrition school, so I'm doing that online, and I'm kind of learning more about nutrition and exercise and the MELT method through Wendy, and thinking about doing this detox coming up, and let's see. Yeah, I can stick to it for a little bit, and then I do fall off my wagon, I guess. And I tend to go with diets that work, which like keto diets usually work for me really well, or low carb. And I am kind of stuck though. I have only kind of been, I lost 120 pounds in like 2 years, but now I'm kind of just stuck where I'm at right now, and have been for a while. So, and I know I need to move more. I have a lot of body pain, so that's something that stops me, and it's my excuse, really. But it is what it is. I mean, I have it, and when I have it, then I tend to slow down. So let's see, not married or divorced, let's say, happily divorced. Bless you.
I tried to hit the mute button there.
And let's see, I have 3 grown children, 4 grandchildren, and my own little chihuahua. And I'm dog sitting right now my daughter's children. I mean, not children, but dogs.
Well, thanks for that, Teresa. And it looks like Kira's next. Hi, Kira.
Hi, sorry, I'm sitting in the dark here. I just, whoops, put my kids to bed, and I don't have good lighting over here, but I need to be plugged in.
And you're an hour later too than we are, aren't you?
Yes, yes. So my name's Kira. I just have terrible lighting in this room. But I actually just left. I lived in Tahoe Vista for the last 3.5 years, and just moved in June to Evergreen, Colorado, to be closer to family. And I guess I'm here because the strengths and weakness, and just kind of that the process of learning more about who I am and what makes me tick, and trying to understand what my strengths and weaknesses are, to just build in a way that's maybe more logical and pragmatic for me. You know, I was diagnosed with a thyroid issue or disorder. I'm 41. When I was probably 31, I was diagnosed with that. And I've had some autoimmune issues. And I just feel like if I don't get my health in check and start eating the right foods and just learning how to make this an everyday part of my life, you know, I think it's going to have a compounding effect, and I don't want to pay for that later. So
Right.
That's why I'm here today.
And you've got 2 beautiful children and a husband,
Yes.
and you have lots of responsibilities. So
Yeah, Johnny and James are my 2 little boys. They are 4 and 5. So we just started pre-K 4 in kindergarten, and they keep me busy. So it's easy
Yeah.
to give everything to them and not take care of myself.
And it's been a tough summer for you because you moved just this summer.
Yeah, yeah, starting over.
Yep. Well, thank you for that, Kira.
Yeah.
And it looks like Barbara's next on my screen. Hi, Barb. I think you're muted, honey. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah.
Okay, I'm unmuted now.
Okay.
I'm Barbara Fleming, and I live alone. I've been married, divorced, remarried to another man happily, and now I'm widowed. So basically, I have no excuse. I don't have anybody I have to take care of. I don't even have a pet. I don't have anybody that keeps me from doing anything I want to do. But, and I'm even having my food made for me that's healthy and in the right portions. My thing is I want to get more exercise because I want to, I want to be as active as I was with my second husband 8 years ago. He was a downhill skier and he was an avid hiker, and he always had a rescue dog. So we have to take the dog out. The dog needs exercise. So I didn't even think about it. I just got up and went with him. Yeah. And now that he's not around, I need somebody to like push me. I need accountability. So when I do exercise, I like to do things that I enjoy, that are fun. I tried the gym thing and it was fun for a while. The lifting with a trainer, the workouts, everything. But I decided it didn't last. So I decided that I wanted to do things, and I enjoyed like the water fitness. And of course, then COVID came, right? In March, it was the end of my water fitness class. And I'm going to actually call on Friday to see when they plan to open again. I did Wendy's Wonderful Melt, and also a friend of mine does Qigong, which I enjoy very much. But there again, one of my first 5 things was responsibility. And then adaptability, which I think I'm really good at adapting, because if I want to have a glass of wine, I have a glass of wine. It's like, if I don't want to exercise, I don't exercise. If I do want to exercise, I exercise. So I need some kind of structure. I need that accountability in my life. It may be not a list like Wendy where you tick things off, but something, because I noticed when I went to visit my VA doctor, since I'm a veteran, I need to lose 25 to 30 pounds. That's where I know I'll be happiest. And everybody looks at me and says, oh, you don't need to. I guess I do, because I know my body. I know when I'm happiest. So somebody mentioned too that they had some body pain. I have body pain in my muscles, mostly from not enough workout. So I'm just interested to see how these personality traits can really help me to get on the track.
Right.
You know what I mean? And how I can do it because so far everything I've tried, and I've never had a problem before. I probably, like I say, 8 years ago when Dennis died, I think that was it. That's when I started noticing, I got more sedentary. I started putting on weight. So I know it's possible. I know it's achievable.
Right. And so what we want to do is not use what motivates me, which is the checklist, but find what motivates you. So
exactly.
Thank you for sharing that, Barbara. Thank you so much. Okay, Carrie, it's you. Are you still muted, honey? Is her lips are moving?
She said, I don't know.
So can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, I can. Yeah.
I'm on my phone, and it's so funny because I got all my melt stuff ready. I thought we were doing that too. So it's so funny. I'm sitting. See, I'm ready to go. I'm Carrie, and I've been married to my husband. I'm remarried for 16 years, and my whole family is real tiny and petite, and I'm probably the biggest female in my entire family. I always have been. I was this height in 6th grade, so I just felt really tall and big. And even though I was born very tiny. So I just have always been on a diet. And I think the only time that I lost the weight and it stayed off for a while was when I did a program that worked on emotions more than weight. and it was done through a church, and it was called the Prism, Prism. And I got to my goal weight and I felt really good. And then everyone said, "Oh, you have a skinny face. You look so skinny." And I just kind of believed them. And then I went off of it. And it's interesting. That's my excuse, but it's not really the real reason. I know it was because I think sometimes in my younger years, I'm afraid to succeed. And I know that, and I can't seem to get around it. And my number one is achiever. So, and I are together in that. And so I'm very curious about how, like, what am I doing wrong? What's my roadblock? I'm 52. We have two grown kids and no grandchildren yet. And I do sit for a living. I'm a hygienist by day, and I love doTERRA and the oils. And I have celiac disease, so I have autoimmune, but I attempt to eat really well. I eat really well, but when I add up my calories, I know it's still too much for me. So that's part of it. And I'm all or nothing, I feel like, and I don't like that. I wish I could just like have dessert and then not go off the wagon. So as I get older, I try that, but I'm just obviously getting too many calories and too sedentary because it's very, very smoky right now. And so I'm looking forward to learning. So thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. I love that we just did that. I just feel like we're a little cohesive group, don't you? Like we've all sort of appreciated everybody else's journey. Can you hear Tinkerbell moaning? She always has to be a part of that.
I'm part of the group too. I didn't get to do
Oh, do you want to share, Susan? Did you want to say anything else?
I was talking for Tinkerbell.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she is definitely part of the group. Okay, so are we ready, Susan, to go through our 6? Okay, so this is how I think it's going to work. I'm going to set a timer for about 8 minutes, and Susan is going to talk to Luann, and we're going to go over what her strengths are, and I'm going to mute myself so you don't hear the dog, but I do want you to hear the timer when it goes off, okay, so that I don't have to interrupt you. Sound good?
That's
okay.
Awesome. Yeah, we just want to make sure that that we give some time to the first 6 people who signed up for the class. That's how those 6 people got in line. And you will learn, even if you are not one of those 6 people, you're going to learn a lot about what other personality types are like. And you also could likely hear a particular strength on their list that you have as well. Maybe you'll recognize someone in your life who has it as well. So I just think you'll soak up a lot about this, just recognizing how different we all are. We all think, we heard some very similar stories from people, and yet you'll see that we are all really different and motivated by different things. So yes, let's start with Luann.
And I'm going to ask my friend Deanna to take notes for me because I want to listen and participate rather than listen. So can you do that, Deanna?
Yeah, and again, you don't have to worry too much about taking notes unless you want
I can
to.
listen. Okay.
Yeah, I have the class recorded, and so you'll be able to listen to it, which I think is really powerful once you've been through it once to listen to it again. It's really powerful. So
forget the notes, Deanna.
Just sit back and
All right, got it.
Scratch them out. Okay, Luann, let's start with you. Now, I remember during our, I spoke with you and you had done strengths before at work. Luann's done it kind of what I was talking about before, just work. This Clifton Strengths is used at work oftentimes, so you did it with your team. And she is very familiar with her top 5 already. I bet you could rattle them off for me. I'm not going to make you, but I'll rattle them off for you. Strategic, adaptability, positivity, connectedness, and woo. So Luann, let's start with strategic, and I think we'll just do a quick over of each of those 5, and then we'll talk about your health and what I would guess would be what you can capitalize on and which things might be roadblocks. So strategic is a person who can see kind of the big picture. You can see the different roads that you might take in this situation of, I could go Weight Watchers, I could go Jenny Craig, I could call up my friend Wendy Pachuco, I could, do many different options. And then you can pretty quickly and easily judge what are the roadblocks, which direction should we go. But I really want to emphasize strategic is that big picture point of view, not just in, I've got my blinders on and what's in front of me right now, but recognizing my behavior now impacts the future. and where I'm headed and what my goals are and so on. Next, you have adaptability, which is pretty self-explanatory in that you can adapt to, you can zig, you can zag. Okay, we're going this way, no big deal, right? The thing to think about with adaptability is two things. This is number 6 on my list, so I identify a lot with it. One is that you thrive in a situation where things are unique and different because you are adaptable. It's not just, if I'm blindsided, I can figure out what to do next. It is, I enjoy being quick on my feet. I actually like it when things are thrown at me. I kind of enjoy that kind of a position. Other people will be like, no, I want to know what's coming. I want to have a plan. Let's stick to it, and so on. That is huge with the adaptability, understanding that about yourself. I think our society tells us that you should be very routined, that things should be done in the same order every single day. And adaptability people excel in just the opposite. Once I figured that out for myself, it was huge. I don't have to do it the same all the time. I can just decide I was going to do yoga. Nope, I'm going for a walk. And I can just trade, and it's no big deal. I can make it later. I can make it earlier. That's actually where I'm in my happiest place, is when I'm changing. So specifically put in your calendar, think up something new to do instead of this is exactly the program you must follow.
One of my favorite expressions is surprise me.
Exactly. See, adaptability people love surprises. Right. So next you have positivity, which is seeing the silver lining, seeing the cup half full, right? Wendy, I would love it if you could give me a 2-minute warning too, just so that I don't completely cut myself off. Positivity being, I see that there's a silver lining. There is something good to be said about every situation. This is absolutely what people are looking for from you. And actually, sometimes it can come, people might think that you're, a Pollyanna, or you're looking through rose-colored glasses all the time, and that you haven't actually vetted the situation or the choice that you've made, or that sort of thing. Connectedness is also bird's eye view. So this is just something to pay attention to, Luann, that you have the bird's eye view in 2 different ways. Strategic being in what are we doing next, guys, and where are we headed? And connectedness is much more oftentimes spiritual, recognizing where everything happens for a reason. Kind of your attitude about, well, it's fine, we're going to keep going. That's a connectedness positivity that I was hearing from you earlier of, well, I didn't do it this month, but I'm going to do it next month, right? And so that's what I'm seeing there. Connectedness is very stabilizing for other people, and you see the connections between you and other people. You see the ripple effect of actions and that sort of a thing. I would absolutely, as far as health goes, your connections are very important to you, especially right now where you're not able to be in the presence of other people's, of all those connections. So making sure that's happening for sure, and implementing that with whatever your health goals are as well. Connecting with people, how can I make sure I'm continuing that, right? And then your last is woo, which is, woo stands for winning others over. So this is someone who is friendly. Those people who can always think of something clever to say. They are never awkward. They aren't having those awkward silences, in the elevator or in the grocery line or something. Well, that's our friend Luann, is good at meeting, greeting, getting to know people and that sort of thing. And I'm guessing you have a lot of friends. You have a large network, especially when I've talked about networks. This is the 3rd time now out of 5. So again, that's another theme that I see there. Absolutely, I would be thinking about your network when you're thinking about how am I staying healthy, and also what impact am I having on other people, and how can we keep each other going. I think that's probably huge for you. So anything, Wendy, you wanna, that was 2 minutes, okay. Anything you want to add, Wendy?
Yes, I definitely want to add something. So I love that we talked about stabilizing for other people. The connections are important for you. And I remember when Luann was doing the spring cleanse, I think it was, you had a little bit of a concern that your husband wasn't going to be on board with this. And so it's important for whatever you do to complement him and his life goals and wellness goals as well. So you two are really a great team together, and he seems really malleable, and I think that you're really lucky that he's like that. So you won him over for sure.
Yeah.
How's that? Pretty good?
Okay, any questions or thought, Luann, in our last few seconds?
Just, so I need people around me to teach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll figure it out because I'm adaptable.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
I
And
think she likes to be part of a group too.
Right.
Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
let's want to move on. Let's move on to Teresa.
Okay, Teresa, let's start with your very first one is deliberative. So deliberative is, I think this is kind of a confusing title sometimes. Deliberative is, I think you and I had a conversation about this, didn't we, when we were chatting about that some deliberative is one who needs to who pays attention to risk, who needs to check out the, I mean, and if my of course I have a skiing analogy, you need to look at the other side of the jump before you just send it and fly off that jump, right?
Yeah.
I need to think things through. I need to process it, look at it all angles, do whatever research you think is necessary. And again, just that attention to risk. Not necessarily that you are, oh, that's too scary, I'm not going to do it ever, but just that you need to check it out before you can pull that trigger. When we think of ready, aim, fire, you might be on ready, aim, 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 right?
Yeah.
And so it's just that knowledge of recognizing that you need to put things probably on your calendar in the future instead of right now, I'm going to go join the gym. It can be next week, that's going to work into my schedule. Or I am going to decide by this day about which program I'm going to follow, something like
That's
that.
probably
Right?
true.
Okay, so putting it off a little bit. Let's see. Next, you have restorative. So restorative is good at a long-term project and enjoying the little wins along the way of a long-term project. You have patience for that. Man, I'm hearing a lot of patience in these descriptions of you. So again, I would be looking for small little wins and little milestones along the way. You're a marathoner and not a sprinter. Everything to know about restorative is, and that name comes from someone who is good at restoring something, taking something that is broken and bringing it back to life. My husband has this as number 2, and when I met him, he was restoring a century home. It's just such a good analogy for that personality of, I'm gonna, pull up the carpet, see if there's good wood underneath, and then we'll make a decision. And
that can't go in the garbage yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's me.
Is that you tend to, if you think about what it takes in order to be that person, you find problems. You're a problem finder and a problem solver, because that's what it takes on that long project, right? Is, oh, here's an electrical issue that I need to solve. I need to fix that first before we can do the next step of, I can't fix the electrical. That's how the restorative works. So think about, I just was talking with an athletic trainer actually who has restorative in his top 5 and saying he loves to think of the body that way as, I would encourage you not to think about what's my problem today, but just the long process of restoring, body health. Right, so next you have consistency. So that's a person who likes things to be the same day to day probably, and less likely of the adaptability type. So you're like, just tell me what to do and I'll show up and do it.
Yep.
Find
exactly. Nailed it.
Yep. Okay, and then you have connectedness too, which we just discussed. So that everything happens for a reason. The connection with I see that with restorative for sure. If I fix the wiring now, then I won't have to tear apart the wall later, right? So same thing with your body as well.
Okay.
And then your last one is analytical. So analytical is the unemotional version of how I'm going to solve a problem. I don't want to hear about the feelings, the I'm sad, I'm happy, how I feel. This is much more about show me the data, show me what's going to work, and that sort of a thing. What I would suggest for you for sure is to turn, because I hope that we're all here because you want to feel awesome, you have energy, you want to stick around for your grandkids, right? That's our goal. And so instead of analyzing calories or numbers on the scale, analyze how you feel. You know, here's my graph of I felt this, you know, I was an 8 out of 10 on energy today, or my mood was that sort of a thing. Make a spreadsheet.
I like that.
Graph. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Turn something that's kind of messy into something that fits in lines. That's what the analytical brain likes.
Definitely.
Your personality is probably less motivated by what's my girlfriend doing and I have to have a buddy in order to do it. You're probably more motivated by the program and the system and what's up today.
Oh my gosh. I just
It's
got
like
red.
looking into a crystal ball, right? Like she just kind of like a little fortune teller. Well, one of the things that I know about Teresa is that she's hugely committed to her relationship with her daughter and with her grandchildren. And she wants to really fortify that relationship, that there have been some things in the past that haven't pleased Teresa, and she's really committed to go, she's all in, and she's going to make that work. And she's there for the long haul.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay.
They have created the connectedness. That's why. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it was in you, and
it just was stashed. It was stashed away.
It was definitely a part of you.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it, though, that, you know, a relationship, you can see that restorative in people in many different ways. And so that sounds like a relationship that it's like, oh, it's still got some life in it. I can breathe back into it. And if I take it one step at a time.
All right. Thank you.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Okay, it's going to be Kathy next.
Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Okay, so we have Maximizer first. So Maximizer is liking to take something that is already good or great and making it excellent. This is usually a perfectionist. Man, if you have that #1 on your list, that's probably a thing in your life. And it's different for everyone. I have had people say, this, I love, great. There's nothing better than a perfect legal document with no errors. That's one Maximizer. And for somebody else, it is the perfect outfit and your hair is just so and whatever. So it really depends on the person about what it is that you maximize. I absolutely heard this in your story that you were telling. #1, that's not uncommon for you to be an accomplished athlete with Maximizer, because that has made you work hard in the past, I'm guessing, of like, I can still be better. I can still be better, right? It's what makes you above average into elite or into on the varsity team or whatever, right? It's like, I can keep working and make it even better. So what I'm hearing is, so then what's wrong with me? Why am I not maximizing right now, right? The issue with maximizers, I hear this all the time, is I can't be that. I remember what that was like. I remember being that great of an athlete. I remember what I looked like, how I felt, and so on. I can't get there, so I'm gonna go read a book instead. Super common for maximizers. That
so true.
Like, yeah, if I can't be perfect, then I don't want to play that game.
I think
right?
I
So,
have this conversation with somebody. If I can't play tennis right away, I don't even want to do it.
Exactly. So you can see how that's been it's a strength of yours, and it's been a fabulous motivator, I'm guessing, in the past, and something that has made you achieve great things. And yet it also can be that little thorn in your side too, because sometimes we need to, I like to think of it, this analogy was told to me, if you think about like an equalizer, you know, if you're mixing music or something, you're like, I need to turn the bass down a little bit, or that guitar is too loud. We're like, it's time to turn down the maximizer a little bit, and I need to turn up something else. So let's look at the rest of your list, see what else you can turn up. Positivity, awesome one also. I do think with positivity, people, that you do have this, it's going to be okay. It's going to turn out okay. And so that's what keeps you going. So, so it's a great one to be able to use, no matter what your goals are. Where am I? Futuristic. So futuristic. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was on the right list here. Futuristic is, I can imagine the future. I can see what it's going to be like. People describe it as kind of a movie that plays in your mind. This is definitely a strength that people who have it don't recognize, that everyone doesn't think that way. They're like, what, can't everybody imagine what it's going to be like 2 weeks from now, a year from now, when I move to, you know, this new city? And I've talked to a ton. It's been interesting to me that of all the life coaching people who have come to me since quarantine, COVID, our lives are all upended. Almost, I guess 9 out of 10 have futuristic, because futuristic people depend on their plans, and they make plans constantly. They can't help themselves. Their brain is forward. And so all of us are complaining about this same thing, aren't we? Of like, as soon as I think one thing, then, you know, then we take a left turn, or we have this new monkey wrench thrown in, or I want to make a plan, but I can't make a plan because I don't know if things are going to be open or not, or right. And so for sure, this is another thing that can get in your way of, you're great at making plans, I'm guessing, because of that futuristic. But there is a time when you need to say, okay, I don't know. And what I usually suggest is make a plan A, B, and C. A is if the gym is open next month, and B is if it doesn't open till next year or in January, and C is if gyms never open again in our lifetime. So make different plans.
That would be okay with me.
Take a guess. What's that?
That would be okay with me.
Right, and
I'm not a person either.
I am throwing out examples. I don't go to the gym either, but and that's just an example. I should say that's my caveat to everything, is that I tend to make up examples, and it may not, you need to put it into your own personal life. So, but maybe it's the yoga studio, maybe it's, you know, being able to walk, you know, this close to your friend, or whatever it is. Okay, so next we've got activator. I've got activator in my top 5 too. I'm a fan of it because, but man, this one also gets us in trouble. So activators are, come on, let's go. And you're good at motivating other people. At the beginning of a project, you tend to be good. And so if we decide we're gonna paint this room, then you're probably in the car on the way to the hardware store to pick out the paint and that sort of a thing. This is one that oftentimes I would recommend for activators. Mel Robbins' book, because she does the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 trick of just like, and move, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. That's what the activator is going to do. We talked about Teresa's deliberative earlier. This is quite the opposite of that. This is, when I said ready, aim, fire, this is fire, ready, aim. That's what we like to do. We tend to be impatient also. Quickly, sorry, I'm running over here. And then strategic, which we talked about. So that's that big picture, being able to see the patterns and things and decide which road to take. Wendy, Andy, what do you want to add?
Yeah, I was going to add that when I looked at Kathy's top strengths, I kind of had this impression that if Kathy was interested in losing weight, that it would have to happen pretty quickly, that she would get kind of frustrated or bored or like, forget it, I'm just not going to do it. So whatever she does, she's got to lose, 5 pounds in a couple of weeks to just really get her motivated. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I also think eat that elephant one bite at a time as well. Make the wins small so that for that maximizer, so that my only goal is to, walk around the block. Then you can say, yep, I maximized that today, right? Yeah. I was an awesome walker, and my jogging suit matched too, whatever. Instead of maximizers tend to set these goals that are too big and unrealistic. And again, pointing to, especially knowing your history as an athlete too, of I just need to get back there, right? So modify.
Yeah, I think these are great strengths, Kathy, and I totally see you in them. As I looked at everybody's strengths, and I was like, oh my God, that's totally Joey, and I really could see you in these. Interesting to note, Kathy was a caterer and an events planner. So thinking about the future, and it just seemed so right, and how you really appreciate some of the influencers that are on Facebook that are part of your catering world or your cooking or essential oils and doTERRA. So it totally was real. These strengths are very real for me, for you. Okay.
Thank you, Susan and Wendy.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
It really is great. Okay, Joey is next up on the hit list.
Joey. Let's see. Joey has ideation, intellection, relator, developer, input. Okay, you've got the I names. Ideation. We share a couple. Your first two are also in my top 5. So ideation is a person who can come up with ideas quickly, easily. Wendy has this as well on her top 5. So this is a person where ideas pop like popcorn. It's really fun to collaborate with people, to be creative, and to bounce ideas off of people. You enjoy other people's ideas as well. Definitely something to pay attention to. I don't think Wendy mentioned it today, but another thing that she and I talked about her own experience, and I find the same thing with myself, similar to adaptability in that you need to be creative. It's a basic part of you. Ideation is a creative person. You think outside the box. You take things from lots of different places and put them all together into a new thing. And that's what an idea is, right? So challenging yourself to come up with new creative ways to do whatever needs to be done, I think is huge. Whether it's cooking, you probably are less likely to want to follow the recipe and not use your own ideas. You probably want to use your own ideas in how you exercise, or in maybe something creative. I'm also thinking of something creative if you enjoy music, or something like that, it's something that's going to involve your creativity in how you're moving your body, right? Mm-hmm. A dance class, a Zumba, something like that is probably more interesting to an ideation person. Then intellection. So intellection, and actually people who know strengths really well always look at me and go, really, ideation and intellection together? Because they do. I always pay attention to the speed of the different strengths as well. Ideation is a fast moving one because it was described to me, ideas are like popcorn. It's true, isn't it? It's like ding, 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 ding in your head. Intellection slows you down. Intellection is the person who likes to think, and you like to consider, and you like to digest mentally whatever you have just witnessed, or what you're going to do about this particular issue, whatever. A huge thing to know about intellection people is that they require time by themselves every day. They have to have time where they can process and that sort of a thing. I would also be thinking about what can you do. That's why I know it's part of why I like yoga is that it distracts the whole point of yoga is that it distracts my mind. You're supposed to be thinking about your breathing and your body, and it's built that way to be a constant distraction to your mind, because intellection brains are very busy. And the other thing with intellection is that we like time on the couch. we like time. I want to sit and consider, I want to decide, I want to think about, that sort of a thing. So you can see how that's counteractive to a busy person who is much more driven by executing tasks and being physically busy and so on. So embrace the thinking. Do not fight it. Don't fight the thinking drive. And then relator, am I on the right? Yep, so relator next. Relator is, I like my people, my few people who mean a lot to me, probably your family, maybe some childhood friends. You have a few friends that go very deep. If you go to a wedding or a networking event, you'll talk to those 3 people that you already know and spend more time deepening that relationship instead of Luann, who's meeting and greeting with all those new friends, right? So the relator is one who loves to have the deep, genuine relationships. You also like to work on projects with other people. So you might enjoy a group that you always do, that you meet, Tuesday we all go and we do this class together, and I get to know those women as human beings. That's what relators tend to pay a lot of attention to, people as human beings, and wanting to work in that family feel. Do you see what I'm saying? Another one, I can't tell you how many people I've released by saying, if you don't have the woo, take it off your plate. Like, no need, don't try and be that, because it's not who you are. So it's definitely one, you like the one-on-one. Find your friend who you can talk and walk at the same time. Was that the end of the list? No, no, we still have developer. So developer is like and develop other people, seeing the potential in other people. So that is wanting to help someone else who's on their journey. This can get in the way of you're distracted with other people's purposes instead of your own purpose, perhaps. And I'm going to help them on their journey, and then you get further down the list. And then lastly is input. So input is loving information. This is a huge one to know about yourself that you probably want to learn about before you start the MELT method. Where did that come from? Give me some background on it. What's the history of it? Why does it work? That sort of a thing. So you would want some information, input, as in I like input into my brain. That's what the input means. So you probably like to read, maybe, and take on board a lot of information like that. So also very valuable to know. How about you, Wendy? Anything to say?
Yeah, I think this is so Joey. When I think about all of these strengths together, she has a deep love for her family. They do a lot of things socially together. They, really enjoy each other's company. Some families are like oil and water, but Joey's family is just lovely. And she does Zentangle, which I think is a perfect art form for her, because it's in a group. She does it with a group of women, and it's very quiet, and it's one-on-one, and she does absolutely beautiful, beautiful artwork. Yeah, and I think that you're right on about being a part of a group. I think she likes to be part of the group, but when I think about our trip to France and how close we grew, that the two of us, I mean, I think we did.
Yeah.
That we got really close during that trip last summer, and there were a lot of other women there, but we kind of, we're our own little unit.
Thank you guys both very much.
Yeah, really fun stuff. Okay, let's move on to Julie.
Julie, responsibility. First, we have a couple of people who have responsibility, I think. Barbara's number one.
Yeah.
So so the comment is, and I hear this all the time with responsibility of like, well, then I should be perfect then, right? Because I'm such a responsible being. but actually this could get, so what happens with responsibility is, number one, if you say you're going to do something, you follow through with it, and that drives your decision making and your actions a lot. Julie, I want to make sure, okay, you are there. You froze for a second on my screen. I wanted to make sure you were hearing. So the risk with the responsibility is that you're being pulled in many different directions, because you go to work and there's responsibility there, and then there's responsibility to your spouse or your children, your pets, your friends, your sister, your brother, right? And so they can really be pushing against each other. I hear many over and over and over again from responsibility people is that tend to put too much on your plate, because my name's on it, so I better put that on. And I told him that I would make him dinner, so I better do that. And I have to show up at my kid's baseball game. And so you keep piling it on, having a harder time saying no to things. And so what happens, and I gotta say it, ladies, I think women tend to do this even more, is that where do we end up on that totem pole of priority? We end up down the responsibility list, right? So really think about this, and always my feedback to high responsibility is to stop for a moment and think, is that really the most responsible thing to do? Is it more responsible for me to work late today and skip my class with Wendy? Is that the most responsible thing I can do right now? Because if you think about what your own moral list is, if you were to put them all in order, are you feeding the things that are the most important to you? Keeping your body running well, you feeling good, having lots of energy, glowing, being your fabulous self. We all know it makes you a better everything, a better spouse, a better mother, a better employee, boss, whatever you are. And so that's what I'm always saying to responsibility people is stop and think for a second, because you can get really stuck in the I need to do my list, follow through with everything that I have already committed to with other people. And I lost my train of thought. I had one more thing that I was going to say about that responsibility. Just that, I don't know. Let's move on. Let's keep going. We'll go to number 2, Harmony. Maybe it will come back to me. I turned 50 in March, and man, that happens way more often than it used to.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so next on Julie's list is Harmony. Similar, I would have that similar thing to say. So Harmony is a person who is not necessarily, can be, but is not necessarily conflict averse. But you recognize that moment when conflict is no longer relevant, or it's not making progress at all. And so what can happen here, kind of like responsibility, very similar, is that I'm going to keep the peace instead of cooking broccoli, I'm going to make French fries instead, right? And because then I won't have to hear about, from my 15-year-old about how they'd rather have French fries and broccoli. And so I would say that's the main thing that pops into my head about Harmony. Again, kind of the same thing of, if you're going to show up as your best self, you want to have that positive point of view and so on, then taking good care of yourself is the best way to do that. So I think to keep that in perspective is very helpful for both Harmony and responsibility. Next, consistency. So we talked about this one earlier. Liking things to be fair and noticing fairness, and also liking things to be the same are the two things about consistency. So you would probably function best with a plan, or it's Tuesday and so it's salmon night, or that sort of thing, or the same routine in the morning perhaps, and versus I'm going to just zig and zag all over the place or make it up as I go along. You're probably less comfortable with make it up as I go along. And then relator. So again, we talked about that same thing of find your peeps, find your people who you want to interact with and who motivate you, and set something up so that it happens. Put it on the calendar, make sure it's part of your schedule with those people who are very important to you. And then discipline. So discipline is actually, I think it's my least favorite title, because that makes it sound like I floss my teeth every day because I'm supposed to and I'm disciplined, or I go to the gym because I'm supposed to. Discipline actually has a lot to do with your external space being physically organized. You're probably the person who has the color-coded checklist maybe, or that sort of a thing. Much more driven by organization. People, when I talk to people that work with this strength, I can't deal with a stressful situation until I have everything in order. And then I can move on. And that's how I cope. It's how I'm comfortable. It's how I think the best. So that's a great thing to know about yourself. Just have your ducks in a row. First, physically organized. Here's my notebook where I keep my menus. I'm not kidding with the color coding. My daughter is 21. She has discipline in her top 5. And she used to be the example in class that her teacher more than once borrowed her notebook to show as the example of, this is the neat handwriting and the different color coded highlighting and so on. That's very much not me. But this is one that everybody's always jealous of, is that they always want to have more discipline in their life. And
I have none. I have none. I have squirrels, and they don't even know what a row looks like. I mean, you know, I can't see the discipline in my life. It's funny.
So even the description of externally wanting things just so, that's not you?
Oh, yeah, I do like things just so, but they're never as perfect as I want them, and so I give up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think about what a wonderful gardener you are, for instance, and how perfectly color coordinated her garden is. You know, it might not be, and I think actually you love your planner, you know, like we both have that Erin Condren, whatever her name is, planner. We both like, look at the markers, you know. But I think of it in terms of how you love to work in your garden.
There are some places.
There are some things.
See, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I do have some places, not where I would like it to be.
Well, this is often, yeah, so this list is pointing out where you're probably the happiest. So I know, and other adaptability people and so on probably would be like, please don't give me a list to check off or different colored pens. It's too much stress. I can't, it will actually push me the wrong direction. I would encourage you to explore those things and see if it helps. See if it's something that does work for you. Okay. Really, because you might have that same joy of, that person likes to check things off too, but it tends to be more because it keeps you organized.
And I love the consistency strength that she has. And I've seen that in action many times. You know, it's Taco Tuesday or it's meal prep Sunday, you know, like she does have. And, you know, she's at a disadvantage because I feel like I know really well. But yeah, she's very, you know, she likes that kind of structure. And so if I think about putting a meal plan together for somebody like that, I would want to honor that perhaps they would want to have a schedule on, you know, time on Sundays where maybe we had like a little quick Zoom call on prepping food together. I think that, you know, that kind of thing would be really fun for us to do. Maybe not for everybody. And I see Teresa's kind of nodding her head and she's got that same strength. So that would really appeal to her. And maybe somebody else is like, oh, you know what? I'm going to cut my carrots on Friday. Right? Barbara's like, yeah, I'm going to tell somebody else to cut my carrots.
I'm not going to eat carrots.
Oh. Well, then there's that maximizer. If they're not perfectly cut, I don't want them. So Thanks for that, Julie. But I do, I appreciated that you came in and said, look, I've got these strengths and how come I can't use them to exercise more? And so this is the kind of thing that we're going to talk about in a little bit more depth if you're interested. I have a 3-class series and I'm calling it Uniquely You Wellness. And I'm going to offer it to this group at a 20% savings. So it's $97 for you and $125 for everybody else. And it gives us time to really dive into, as Julie said, look, I want to exercise more, and how come with these strengths I can't get that figured out? And so that's what we're going to get into in the meat of the Uniquely You Wellness series. Okay, we have one more person to talk to, and that's Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi.
So we went through that responsibility. Was any of that ringing true for
Oh,
you?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And there's no reason for it because now I'm alone. I'm not working. I don't have my little children. I don't have pets. Why? What's going on? It's just me.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking that as you were talking that, well, I want, you know what, let's talk about your others and then let's talk about them as a group, because that's the other interesting part about this, for all of you, is to think about how those work together.
Right.
Because you'll see responsibility in one person looks different than it does in someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next you have adaptability, which we have talked about. And the thing about adaptability is that you are able to follow someone else's plan. That's what adaptability is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when your husband was hiking, okay, we're hiking.
That's right.
Yeah. We're skiing today. Okay, we're skiing. And so I think that's part of it, is recognizing sometimes that two things there. So that's how I'm seeing responsibility and adaptability working for you, is that I lost my person who I'm being responsible to, and I also lost the person who I am going to follow his lead on what we're doing next, because he has these great ideas and always has a plan, and so I'm going to do it. So to recognize, maybe spend some time thinking about, okay, if I'm responsible to myself, what does that look like? What do I want? What are my end goals that I want, and how can I be responsible to that? I am looking, do you have kids or no kids?
My kids are grown. My son and daughter are grown. I have 2 grandchildren. Yeah. They're in the city, San Francisco. Yeah.
There you go. There you have those people who you are, you want to be responsible to as well. Right? And so just send your brain that direction. Instead of, you've probably spent many years of, you didn't have to think about that because it was coming at you. And now you're having more of a concerted effort to think about, where do I want to go? Where am I headed? What are my responsibilities?
Right. It's just me now. Yeah. I want to stay healthy for me.
So make a list of what does that mean? What are my responsibilities? And okay, so we went over that, and adaptability. And so kind of the same thing, in that recognizing that you are probably going to like to shake things up a lot. Don't expect yourself to follow a very regimented program. I get what you mean. Sometimes it's good. Adaptability, people like having somebody else make a decision, because, that person who's cooking for you is like, here you go, this is what's for dinner. You're not thinking about it's Taco Tuesday. You're just eating whatever's in front of you. So that doesn't surprise me at all, because adaptability people sometimes can be, it's like, I can do anything and I don't really care. Someone just choose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you also have maximizer. So that same thing of wanting to things, perhaps a bit of a perfectionist and that sort of.
I'm a Virgo. Did I say I was a Virgo? My birthday was September 6th. Yeah.
Happy birthday. Where do you sit? Do you see any perfectionism?
Since I was a child. In my studies, in everything I do, if it's got to be lined up, And I was in the military for 4 years, and I was 12 years of parochial school. So Tell me about that. Yeah. Perfectionist, discipline, always wanting to please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, that says a lot to me too, also just of if you put that with this adaptability, responsibility, you are looking elsewhere to, okay, boss, tell me where the bar is and I'm going to get
Exactly.
there and above it. And you're like,
Yeah, just give me the job and and I'll do it. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
maybe
Yeah.
you're looking around searching for that bar right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's where the exploration needs to come, I think, is what bar do I want and
Right.
why? And you might want to figure out how to externalize it so that it is someone else's, you know, plan that you're following or that sort of thing. Positivity. So, boy, you ladies are positive around here. So again, glass half full. I'm gonna figure this out. That sort of thing. Fabulous. Arranger is a flexible brain that can, again, see when I see themes like this, I'm seeing, you know, with the adaptability, that and arranger, both of those are flexible, right? So arranger is a flexible brain in that you can organize things, you can multitask, organize a lot of things, mentally especially. I notice that people at work who have arranger can be in charge of a lot of people and handle that, you know, moving parts all over the place, and that you can make sense of it. So again, flexibility all over the place for you. For sure, I would be making sure you have flexibility, setting in places where am I making decisions and where am I not making decisions, because I'm really seeing this yin yang, this pull both directions. I kind of like it when someone else tells me what to do, but on the other hand, I function well in an adaptive environment. So, so also good to know about yourself too, right? Okay.
Well, and it was funny because I want to schedule things and I like that, but then I don't want to be scheduled. I mean, if I do something twice a week, I go, yeah, but I really don't want to commit to that twice because there might be something else going on. I might want to go there. I might want to see this. You know, isn't that terrible? It's like, who does that?
Yep, me too.
Oh, this is a great group. really learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah, isn't it fascinating? Just even that's a really obvious difference within this group, isn't it? There are people who want to, don't tell me what to do, don't tie me into a little box, and there are other people who are, tell me what to do and I will follow it. And and that's how my world is comfortable. And then some of us were comfortable with it being, I want to have control. I want to be able to change it if I need to.
Right.
Yeah. It is really fascinating. And I'll just add that Barbara did the spring cleanse, and you know, Barbara's just a sweetheart. Every time I come up with a program or a class, she's the first one to sign up. She's the first one on the Zoom call. You're the first one. You get the gold star, right? And so I asked her about, you know, after she did the spring cleanse, how did she feel about it? What were her comments? And she said that there wasn't enough variety in the meal plans of the food. So somebody is making it for her and she was eating it, but her, you know, her sense was that she could have used a couple of different types of dishes on there. So that kind of information is really helpful for me, because as I put together my fall programs, I'm going to be thinking about, you know, what does Barbara need in order for her to be happy during a 21-day cleanse or a 6-month program? How might I keep, you know, somebody like Teresa organized enough so that I'm challenging her need for it to be consistent week after week? So there's two extremely different ways of managing the same program. I'll add that I was a school teacher for a while, and I was a speech and language pathologist in the public schools, and I had about 100 kids that I saw in maybe 3 or 4 different schools. And for each one of those children, I had to write up an individual education program for those children. And so as I think about doing, you know, the health coaching with everybody, I really want to make sure that I'm honoring all of those wonderful skills and abilities. And I'm going to call them quirks because I do think they're all kind of quirky in how we want to be rewarded and how we're going to stay motivated to meet our personal goals. It makes sense, right? So how many of you want to, first of all, just give Susan like a big virtual hug? Like she was just so great and just amazing, the rapid fire delivery. Like she really knows her stuff. She didn't have to think about it for a minute. And how much do you feel like you want to know more? I mean, it's so interesting, right? So I think that it would be great if we could meet again. If you're interested in the Uniquely You Wellness series that I'm going to put together, I'll send you some more information about that. Anybody have any final thoughts? Anybody have any aha moments that they want to share?
Okay, I would like to. It's interesting because Susan, you said something about doing some kind of dance thing. Well, one of the things that I've been doing is, anybody heard of Body Groove? It's an online, and this woman is you just dance, and it is more fun. It's just, I was like, I've been doing that.
Of course you have.
Yeah.
I'm writing it down right now too, so that I can.
Go online. Her name is, what is her name? I don't know, but she's got the dreadlocks and everything, but
Body Zoom. Okay.
No, Body Groove.
Is it Body Groove? Because she's a beautiful black young woman. No,
she's not black.
I thought she. Okay, then I must have a different one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so and that was just so right on. I thought that was very interesting.
It was really cool.
I have that same those CDs, and she's great.
And
she's fun.
And she's got a lot. If you just go into YouTube and look at her, a lot of those dances are free. You can just go in, or you can do a subscription, like a month to month. So it's really fun.
How fun. That's great. Well, I think we should do it as a group.
Yeah, it is. It is fun. I like that.
Yes.
Okay,
cardio.
I really enjoyed just hearing everybody's strengths. I kind of geek out over these things for some reason. I think that's fascinating, this kind of personality stuff. I realized that I'm probably most like Barbara and Joey, and I'm the least like Teresa Edge. Teresa Edge's strengths are mostly in my bottom 5, at least 10. So it's just fascinating to me to see what motivates people and what makes them tick. I think that's great, and I appreciate you guys bringing us together, and I think it's going to be a fun journey if we stick it out together.
Yeah, and there's more to learn, because I think, as I understand it, just because you have this top 5 doesn't mean that it goes in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, things can shift and morph and change. And that's interesting too, especially if you do find, for instance, as an achiever, that there's a roadblock there. So I need to kind of put my achiever aside and maybe go into the strategic aspect of my strength, so I can come up with a good solution. So I'm not, beating myself up and working myself to the bone, doing the same thing over and over again that doesn't even work. So just because I'm productive doesn't mean it's working.
I have to put my maximizer to bed for a while. You have to put your achiever to bed for a while.
I have to, during this.
We have to put our perfectionism away too for a while.
I'm not going to think about everything. I just think about it. I don't do anything. I just think about it.
Yeah. And you're going to get to work when you get to work.
Yeah.
Right? I love that you're on your own schedule.
I'm with you, Joey. I need to put my intellection to work sometimes. My husband, who has achiever high, will come in and be like, he never says anything, but I can just read it on his face of like, what are you doing? I'm like, I have decided something. I have processed something. I have thought through. I have considered things all while sitting on this chair.
Well, I want to thank you so much. I hope that you have a restful night's sleep. This was really fun to see everybody's beautiful face. I'll send you this in an email. Is it okay if I do it tomorrow? Because it's getting a little late.
Yeah,
so I'll do this for you tomorrow. And I did want to ask you, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, Sue, but Deanna and Carrie both had, I think Carrie's have her strengths already, but Deanna did not, and Kira did not. She's not on the call either. So would you be willing to give those ladies a 15-minute consult to just get them organized if they wanted to take the test?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, great. And then will you come back and do more with us?
I would love to.
Okay, great. Wouldn't that be fun? Would you like to have her come back?
Yeah, I'd like to
Be great.
hear more.
Be great.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, lots of love to you all. Thank you so much for coming, and sweet dreams, okay?
Thank you.
Wendy. Thank you, Susan.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.